My story isn't one you'd find in thrillers. It's far too real, and it began with a breakup that I thought was amicable. Jenna and I had decided to go our separate ways after a couple years. It was mutual, or so I believed. We agreed to remain friends, but as weeks passed, Jenna's behavior started to change. Subtle at first, then drastically. It's a tale that serves as a chilling reminder of how quickly love can morph into something dark and dangerous. It started with texts and calls at all hours. When I didn't respond, Jenna began showing up at places I frequented. Each coincidental encounter left me more uneasy. Friends told me I was overreacting until the day Jenna confronted me outside of my new apartment, demanding to know why I was ignoring her. Her eyes, once warming and inviting, were now cold and unsettling. The situation escalated when Jenna began spreading rumors about me online, each more vicious and damaging than the last. Attempts to reason with her failed, leaving me isolated as friends began to distance themselves, unsure of what to believe. I felt like I was drowning, gasping for air in the sea of lies and manipulation. Then came the night that changed everything. I was walking home from work lost in thought when I sensed someone following me. Turning, I saw a shadow dart behind a building. My heart raced, but I convinced myself it was just my imagination. It wasn't until I reached my door and found a note in Jenna's handwriting that I realized the gravity of my situation. "You can't escape me," it read. The police were sympathetic but explained that their hands were tied without evidence of physical harm. So I turned to a security company for protection, installing cameras around my apartment. The sense of safety was short-lived. One evening reviewing footage, I froze. There was Jenna, lurking in the darkness, watching my apartment for hours. I decided to confront Jenna to end this once and for all. We met in a public place, a crowded cafe where I felt safe. The conversation was tense, Jenna oscillating between pleading and reconciliation and expressing anger at my betrayal. I stood firm, explaining that there was no chance for us getting back together, and that her behavior had to stop. That night, as I lay in bed, the sound of breaking glass shattered the silence. Adrenaline surged through me as I grabbed the baseball bat I now kept by my side. Creeping towards the living room, I saw a figure climbing through the broken window. It was Jenna, her face twisted in rage. The ensuing struggle was a blur of screams, glass, and fear. I managed to fend her off long enough for the police alerted by the security company to arrive. Jenna was arrested in the months that followed. I lived in a state of heightened anxiety, jumping at shadows and flinching at every unexpected sound. The court issued a restraining order, but the psychological scars lingered long after. This experience taught me the terrifying reality of stalking and the thin line between love and obsession. It's a harrowing reminder that violence doesn't always come from strangers. Sometimes it's from those that we've let closest to us. As I share my story, I hope it serves as a warning to others. If you see the signs, don't wait to act. Protect yourself, because the horror of real-life monsters is that they can be the person you once loved. The unraveling of my relationship with Alex was not just the end of a chapter, but the beginning of a descent into reality more terrifying than any fiction. Our breakup, once a decision I believed would lead to personal growth, instead opened the door to a nightmare I couldn't have foreseen. In the days that followed, an unnerving pattern emerged. Initially, it was subtle, silent calls in the dead of night, fleeting glimpses of a figure trailing me in the distance. I convinced myself they were coincidences, side effects of stress and heartbreak. But the illusion of safety shattered the night I found a letter tucked beneath my door. Its contents a chilling blend of longing and warning, signed by Alex. Each day brought a new terror. My social media was filled with cryptic messages from accounts that appeared and vanished like ghosts. My friends received anonymous tips sowing distrust and isolation. The world I knew became a labyrinth for paranoia, every corner hiding potential danger. The true extent of my peril became clear one evening. Returning home, the air felt charged, a prelude to a storm. My apartment door, usually locked, was ajar. Inside, the remnants of my life were scattered, personal items destroyed with a ferocity that left no doubt this was personal. Among the wreckage was a note, its message simple: you will never be free. The police became a constant presence, offering a semblance of protection, yet unable to grasp the shadows that moved just beyond their reach. Their advice was always the same: stay vigilant, document everything, wait. But waiting became a game for Alex, each move calculated to drive me further into despair. The climax of this twisted tale occurred on a night painted with a promise of freedom. I decided to leave town, to start a new life, far from the reach of my relentless shadow. But as I packed the last of my belongings, darkness enveloped my home. The power cut, leaving me blind in a world of fear. Then the silence broke. Footsteps slow and deliberate echoed through the halls. I knew with a sinking heart that Alex had come to claim the final act of our shared tragedy. The confrontation was swift, a clash of desperation and madness in the pitch black of my home. It was a fight for survival, one that left us both teetering on the edge of oblivion. When the lights returned, revealing the chaos of our struggle, Alex was gone, vanished into the night, leaving behind only the scars of our encounter. The police would later tell me it was a miracle I survived, that the line between life and death had been thinner than a whisper. In the aftermath, my life became a series of precautions, a testament to the ruin that love twisted into obsession can wreak. Alex remained a specter, a presence felt but never seen, their final promise echoing in the quiet moments of my existence. My story is a harrowing journey through the depths of fear and resilience of the human spirit. It serves as a stark reminder that sometimes the most dangerous adversaries are those that once claimed to love us, their affection morphed into obsession capable of crossing the darkest lines. In the shadow of such terror, survival becomes not just a physical battle, but a fight to preserve the essence of who we are in the face of those who would see us undone. After the dust of our tumultuous breakup had settled, I thought the chapter of my life involving Noah was firmly closed. Little did I know it was merely the prelude to a series of harrowing events that would blur the lines between reality and paranoia, casting a long shadow over my newfound solitude. The first sign that something was amiss came on a night shrouded in mist. I was jolted awake by the unmistakable sound of someone whispering my name just outside my bedroom window. Heart pounding, I rushed to investigate, only to find the night undisturbed, the whisper nothing but a chilling breeze, or so I convinced myself. In the days that followed, the sense of being watched grew palpable. Objects in my home began to move inexplicably. Photos turned upside down, and my once secure sanctuary felt penetrated by an invisible presence. I tried to dismiss these occurrences as the product of stress and an overactive imagination, but the unease was undeniable. The climax of this creeping terror unfolding on a stormy evening. Lightning illuminated my living room in stark flashes, revealing for a split second the silhouette of a figure standing just beyond the glass. My scream was lost amidst the thunder, and when the light flared again, the figure was gone, leaving only the rain-smeared evidence of his presence. Determined to confront my fears, I installed security cameras, a technological sentinel against the unseen. The footage they captured chilled me to the bone. There, in the dead of night, was Noah, moving with ghostly silence around my home, his face a mask of obsession and something darker, unreadable. The next encounter was not one I could have prepared for. Noah materialized from the shadows of my garage as I returned home one evening, his approach silent but for the menacing click of a blade unfolding. The air between us crackled with an electric fear, and in his eyes I saw not the person I once loved, but a stranger twisted by unspoken grievances. Our dance was desperate and violent, a struggle for survival under the cold gaze of the moon. It ended with a crash through the fragile barrier of the garage window, the shards of glittering rain around us. Noah fled into the night, leaving behind a trail of blood and unanswered questions. Following the ordeal, my life became entangled in a web of police interrogations and sleepless nights. My once peaceful abode now haunted by perceived dangers lurking in every corner. The ensuing investigation unearthed the chilling reality of Noah's spiral into insanity, fueled by a toxic blend of jealousy and the misguided conviction that terror could reignite the flames of our past love. This experience, a chapter torn from the darkest of thrillers, taught me the harrowing lesson that sometimes the most dangerous threats come cloaked in the guise of familiarity, their intentions obscured until the moment of reveal. It's a tale of survival, a reminder of the strength that lies in facing our fears, and the importance of listening to the whispers of our intuition when they warn us of the echoes of the unseen. In the aftermath of my relationship with Damian, I naively believed the worst was over. However, the universe had a far more sinister script written for me, one that would thrust me into the depths of a psychological thriller unlike any other. The first act of this nightmare began subtly with the unsettling occurrences that seemed too calculated to be mere coincidences. My car tires were slashed, a clear warning, but from whom? Then came the photographs left on my doorstep, each capturing moments of my daily life from a distance, a voyeuristic chronicle of my every move. One night, the false sense of security provided by my locked doors and windows was shattered, along with the glass of my living room window. A rock wrapped with a note bearing a single chilling sentence lay amidst the debris. "You can't escape me." The police were summoned, their assurances of safety feeling hollow against the backdrop of my escalating fear. The plot thickened when I discovered a series of cryptic messages, each one leading me on a macabre scavenger hunt throughout the city's underbelly. The final clue led me to an abandoned warehouse, the stage for a confrontation that would forever alter the course of my life. There, in the shadow-soaked interior, Damian awaited, his appearance drastically changed. Gone was the man I once knew, replaced by a figure whose eyes burned with unhinged intensity. He spoke of a world where only we existed, a delusional fed by his refusal to accept our breakup. His plan was to erase our past by starting anew, in a reality crafted by his twisted imagination. The ensuing struggle was a dance of death. Damian, armed with a knife, moved with a predator's grace, his every strike meant to incapacitate, not kill, to keep me alive for his demented fantasy. It was only the timely arrival of an undercover officer alerted by the clues I had unwittingly shared that saved me. The warehouse became an arena, the officer and Damian locked in combat, a battle of violence that ended with Damian subdued, though the officer was gravely injured in the process. In the wake of that night, my world was irrevocably changed. The investigation that followed unraveled the depth of Damian's obsession, a descent into madness fueled by a cocktail of narcotics and pathological attachment to me. He had orchestrated the entire ordeal, from the surveillance to the final showdown in a bid to bind me to him forever. My journey through the Shadow Vale left me with scars both physical and emotional, a constant reminder of the thin line between love and obsession. The experience taught me the harsh truth that sometimes the most terrifying monsters are those who once whispered words of love, their affection twisted into chains meant to imprison rather than protect. This story, a testament to the survival and the resilience of the human spirit, serves as a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface of broken relationships. A darkness that must be confronted with courage and the will to preserve, even when the path leads through the heart of fear itself.